Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jane Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Kim Wall. And we were talking during the break. We just lost a very dear friend of ours, Frank Kleeman, who, from what we understand, he died of congestive heart failure. And
number one killer in America.
That's what I wanted us to zero in on. And let's talk a little bit about that and how you get to that point.
Well, again, if we just look at the basic mechanics, Barb, here these people are, we get up, we run, we drink coffee. People don't think about what they're eating. They're not sleeping. They're burning that motor at 150%. And they don't stop. Yeah, it's great, and you got to have all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. But at a certain point, you've got to realize what kind of damage you're doing to that system. And some of it isn't reversible. And,
right.
And that's what you want to look at. The body is amazing what rejuvenates. You bet. What it rejuvenates and constantly, without us even thinking about, is doing. But again, when you look at something like that, heart disease and why it is what it is, again, you can see athletes that can, the same thing, drop dead of a heart attack and this and that. So it's about an emotional aspect, I think, as Americans. We are connected to what the man or the machine says we're supposed to run at speed, as opposed to being at the speed of our families and our loved ones and the people around us, and maybe what matters in our lives a little bit more than having a brand new this or a brand new that. But again, it gets to ownership for each person. And I think just like anything, cancer, heart attack, heart disease, those are wake-up calls to people. Do you want to continue on this path? Do you want to continue down this path? We're all going to go from something. I hope to be blessed to just lay down one day, like Dr. King says. He talks about some of his family members and my grandmother as well. She just didn't feel like going to dinner that night. She was tired, and she laid down, and that was it. That's what we want to shoot for,
But part of that is what we do to ourselves, positive and negative. Smoking, alcohol,
pharmaceuticals,
not going to do a whole lot of good. But exercise,
physical movement.
Barb in the break was showing me a photo of her. There's a video actually of her whipping rope and in tandem with both arms.
And squatting.
And squatting at the same time.
Squatting.
And twofold. Doing for muscular, but doing for brain.
Yes.
Just like babies crawling. Babies have to crawl for that development. Same thing. So by doing certain exercises or eating certain things that are specific to what's going on, then I'm saying to my body, hey, let's keep doing this.
But don't you think that maintaining our circulation, it's just like the pipes that we have in our homes?
Yes.
You turn the water on because you don't want it to ice up.
Right.
Turn the water on to purge it once in a while, and the pipes purge, just like, unfortunately, it did in Flint, Michigan. So, but if you purge your pipes yourself by exercising and really getting that circulation going, if there's a cell that is a cancerous cell, for instance, trying to implant somewhere.
A confused cell,
that's
yes,
right.
it doesn't know what it's doing.
It tries to implant, but you've got your circulation going. It'll displace it and keep it going. If you have a valve problem or potential valve problem, you keep that circulation going, you might dislodge it. If you have some narrowing that's going on with cholesterol, but you keep that circulation going, you're constantly purging your own circulation. Why not exercise?
Exactly.
How difficult is that to do? And if we get into that mode, and Barb, you got it down, if you get into that mode, you're going to be in pretty good shape down the line. And I will guarantee with your longevity, Kim, that, your family members were exercising. They were doing something to keep themselves going.
My grandma could outfish anybody that she ran into. And she would hike to places and drive to places that somebody, you would, in her day, would have said you should not be doing that, but she didn't understand those words. And again, it's about our spirit, and it's about having that part of our spirit in our lives be something that is there and strong, and like you said, you bet movement's going to do it. And what do we want to look at on the other hand is we want to make sure we're not putting in sticky hydrogenated bad oils or foods that are inflammatory that's going to make what's going through those arteries or those pipes irritating and sticky. Because again, it's about mechanics. Cholesterol in the arteries is there because the arteries twofold sometimes are trying to heal. And so if you eat food that's inflammation and irritated, not digested and broken down the right way, it goes through those little arteries and veins and it scratches them. And then the body comes in, and that's part of what cholesterol is used for, is to heal. Cholesterol is a precursor for you to make hormones, cortisols. It's a critical, it's not a bad thing, but if we look at it as a substance, in most people, it's the hydrogenated, sticky, carby garbage they're not digesting. Exactly. That gets stuck in there. So if we take the garbage out and we keep that circulation going with good fluid, good movements, good oils that lubricate, then we can maintain that. And like I said, you see people every day, in this world today with all the technology and mediums we can look at, that you'll see these people that go from point A to point B, and the reason being in that is mental.
Absolutely.
100%. Mm-hmm. There was either a personal drive or something, there was something there, and they did get up, and it might have been, you see a lot of times with these vets and these wounded warriors, they get up and they go on. Man, think about the guts and the motivation inside there. And, we all can get in a pity party. Even the healthiest person. I sometimes can get in a pity party too. Who can't? But again, so what do? I'm going to go outside and sit outside and just listen to the birds. Pretend I'm somewhere else. Take a deep breath. Okay, you know what? Let's go back in there and deal with this. We all have it. But I think if we shared the load more, if we, like you said, had those things that we consumed in our diet, that we did physically, like I said, Barb, you go out and find things that, and that's as simple, as silly as it is if you're at home, you could hook that to a door, and it doesn't have to be something that weighs 1,000 pounds, but it is about the repetitiveness. It's not about, again, quantity or quality of weight. It's about repetitive motion that gives us that strength and that core that's going to keep us
It's interesting. My arthritis doctor said she wanted me to buy a pedometer and put it on
and see what you're doing.
See what I'm doing. Well, I have it right here. I've had it on since early this morning, and I'm curious to know.
Oh, you just started. Okay.
What the number is. But I had gotten to almost 3,000 by 9:30 this morning.
I think your goal is, 10,000?
10,000, yeah.
Per day.
That's what she told me.
But
I want you to walk 10,000 steps.
When I was in...
I bet most women do.
When I was on the East Coast and in training, most of the hospitals are, 5 stories, 8 stories high. When I was at VA Long Beach, that's, I think, 7 stories. I never took an elevator, ever. And
taking advantage of your environment.
At Henry Mayo Hospital, it's a 2-story hospital. It's got a basement, but it's 2-story. The education building is 3 stories, so we don't have this better opportunity. But you don't have to take an elevator there. But you know how many people I see standing by the elevator? I've never taken an elevator at Henry Mayo. And fact is, why should I?
No,
it makes no sense. But it's just this attitude that I think I have. I'm gonna walk the steps. And I just don't see that. I am always pulling the door open for my colleagues to join me, and they do. They hop up the steps with me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I'm still able to do it 2 steps at a time. So.
Well, see, for us, one of mine is when I'm working, is we walk to the post office. And it's probably a little over a mile to do. And it's down across and over the freeway. And it's a little adventure to do. And then we take the back way home and go the longer way home and make a loop out of it. Because, like I said, am I going to do it every time when it's... No, I might not be doing it when it's raining. Sometimes we put on our rain boots and our umbrella and we do it in the rain because we won't melt. But it's one of those things I do. Let's walk here. Let's go here. I need to go to this store. And I'll be like, well, gosh, hey, they got these great little wheelie baskets I can bring with me that I don't have to carry all this stuff, and I make an adventure out of it. Twofold, for me to keep movement, again, for my granddaughter, to get her out, to get her to be active. Same thing. Look at and it's the same. The deterioration is happening on both ends of the spectrums because the kids are sitting in front of televisions doing absolutely nothing and not moving, where my kids would have never done that. And my kids were outside playing all the time. And the same thing with the seniors. You're seeing the same thing. These seniors used to be, even back in the day, they'd been out in the garden all day, or they would have been needle pointing or quilting, or the men would have been tinkering and building and doing that. You would have been constantly doing something that kept that longevity. So I don't care where you are on the spectrum. It's about that connection and allowing that opportunity for that, even as a person taking care of a senior in your home, or if you have a senior parent or grandparent in a facility, hey, we're going to go out for the day. Come on, let's go. I'm going to wheel you around here, or let's just go. I mean, you got places in Valencia that are beautiful walkways and pathways.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's exactly, and it's just nothing more than just walking and talking and sharing the moment, and it's done. It might mean, but to that person getting out that doesn't get out, you don't realize that sometimes. When you have the ability, you can walk out that door, jump in your car, and just go anywhere, and you don't have that ability anymore. Again, that can be depressing. So what can we do if you know that about, like my grandmother was a traveler. She couldn't put her stone down anywhere for for a long period of time. She always wanted to go. And in the end, that I think was part of it. It frustrated her, and we want to maintain those things.
So the key to that is to give somebody a pedometer.
There you go. And tell them, I want to see what you can do for me. But again, it changes the thought process, didn't it, Barbara? It made you think about it. Wow, I've already done 3,000 steps. I feel pretty good about myself.
That's right.
Yeah, and the doctor told me, she said, wear it to bed. Well, I've tried that, and it comes off, and then I'm
but they do have those crazy new things.
I bought one, but I couldn't get it to work.
My brother-in-law has one, and he was showing me on the because on the computer his sleep rhythm, and he was up at this time and not at I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I bought one of those, but I could not for the life of me figure out.
For me, I know I do enough darn steps in the day. When I sit down and put my feet up, it's like, okay, I'm going to take 20 minutes. This is going to feel so good. Okay, not going to go.
Well, it's interesting. It's exciting because I'm constantly looking at it in the mirror, trying to figure out what those numbers are. Looking at them backwards
and backwards. And you're using your brain again, Barb.
Absolutely.
See? It's a problem solving.
It is. There's so much involved to this, and I'm thinking, why haven't I used this all my life? Of course, nobody ever mentioned it to me, but now that she has.
But you're a pretty active person, Barb. You go, you do, you're doing those things, and it's a reward in a way. Like you said, it shows you're doing that and you're making that effort.
Well, it's interesting. I hate to admit it, but I am slowing down. My body doesn't want to go as fast as it used to, because I'll start at the end of our hall and go tearing down the hall, and I think, stop, you're going to fall. Slow down, Barbara, slow down.
Just unplug from the rat race and do it at your speed.
And it is, as you get older, your body does start slowing down.
And so you choose how you do things. They're going to be done differently. You might not do this way because of pain or whatever, that I'm going to do it this way. Or you know what? I'm gonna have somebody come in and do this for me because it's just affecting my quality of life that I do this task and I can't move for a week. Then it's not really. But if I paid somebody to do that, and again, that's where you would have that, that local kid or this or that would come in and help out and do.
Well, it's interesting. My trainer told me this morning, because we were there for an hour this morning in a group, and she was having me work with weights. Doing everything with weights.
Yeah.
I mean, jumping up and down, running sideways, moving these weights. She said, I guarantee you're going to be sore in the morning. I said to her, no, I'm not. So I'm going to let her know who's right and who's wrong.
Well, you're definitely going to be sore because you're using muscles that haven't probably been used in a while, but that's a good sore.
That's a good sore.
That's a good sore. It's not a sore like I can't move sore. It's I did something and that's your body. That's where we have that connection. Your body's telling you, good job, Barb.
But some people are stopped by that. Some people feel the pain and some people give up.
Well, then they
want to
take something to make it go,
They want it easy when, to really sustain oneself. You have to be sore. It's a good sore. So go ahead and move forward with it. Do it, and then after a while, it won't be sore. And you hit a level where you're going, okay, now I'm at this level. You try to achieve the next level.
And if you find that something like soreness doesn't go away as fast as you want it, then you have yourself a cup of turmeric tea or something like that you have after you work out. Or even as, exactly, an anti-inflammatory natural to calm it down. Perfect. And that's again listening to our bodies and just respecting that our body says, "Hey, I need some help," and I'm going to listen and say, "Okay, body, I got this. I'm going to do it this way. Because you're right, Barb. I used to make a joke before the whole gray thing that I used to look in the mirror and think, I feel the exact same way as I did when I was like 18. When do I catch up to I'm not 18 anymore? Well, now it's a given. I look in the mirror and go, how do I get back to that brown hair? Because now I look way older than I feel. I still feel 18, but now I look like no. But again, you know what I'm saying?
You sense it and feel
exactly.
it as we get older. And I have not a pedometer. I have one of those GPS watches that I strap on and get my location, and whoosh, off and running I go. But the sad part is that over the years, I've noticed my 3-mile runs have gone from 21 minutes to 26 minutes to 31 minutes.
And why is that
to
bad?
41. It's not bad.
Exactly.
It's not bad.
Exactly.
It's
because
I accept
Yes.
the fact that I'm that much slower, and I'm just totally I'm fine with that.
Yes.
Because I'm still huffing and puffing. I'm still perspiring. I still can make it.
And how many peers of yours could even do that?
Well, unfortunately,
Exactly.
not too many.
Not too many. So even in that right there, it's not that I'm not 20 years old anymore. Or the same thing when people say, well, gosh, I'm going to go. If you even look like an athlete who's going to run a marathon, they just don't get up one day and say, I'm going to go run a 26-mile marathon. Mm-hmm. They have prepared themselves for that. And our life is kind of like that too.
That's true.
This little machine here will run as long as we want it to run, but we still have to take care of it. If you got in a car and all you did was put gas in the car, and sometimes you put good gas, sometimes you put bad gas, you never change the oil, you never change the filters, and you drove that sucker till it just died in your driveway. We went, well, gosh, I only got, 50,000 miles out of it. That's not very fair. Guy next door's got 300,000 on his. Well, wait a minute, but he's washing his, he's changing the oil, he put a little new seat covers on it,
You have to take care of it.
You
just
bet.
Like you have to
the
take
wrinkles,
care
the
of
gray,
your
the
body.
things, the speed will change with time, but that's also honoring the fact you've been on this earth long enough to know that it's cool to do a 38-minute 3-mile.
Absolutely.
A little longer than that.
And,
Whatever.
and we're all
If you're getting chased by a dog, I bet it'd be faster.
Yeah, I get real fast
See?
then.
It's all about motivation.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes I look in the mirror and I thought, oh, those wrinkles. And then I'll think to myself, wait a minute. Every one of those wrinkles means something.
It's part of the life.
You've accomplished something.
It's part of the life journey.
Yeah, it is. And is it time to take a break? I think so. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Kim Wall about everything imaginable.
Well, trying to sustain oneself.
And that's why,
That's
exactly.
What,
And
that's what we're doing.
why I love homeopathics and why I look at homeopathy, I look at diet, and I look at emotions when people are doing stuff because that's what makes a whole person. And you can't just look at one aspect. You got to look at that whole person. Mm-hmm. And the beauty with homeopathy is this is a modality that's been around for over 200 years. What I love about the products that I'm most fond of, King Bio products, besides the quality, is the fact they're water-based. So I can spray it on my arthritic joints. Mm-hmm. But those remedies in there have a pharmacopoeia over a couple hundred years saying these remedies are going to work for that. And why that advanced arnica spray is so awesome for anybody, or the cream, is the anti-inflammatory. And we know everybody has that inflammation on some level, be it arthritic, be it blood pressure. There's inflammation in the body. So that arnica being one for overuse of muscles, like when you were working out, for sure, Barb, would be the perfect match for that, because you worked your muscles hard. So I'm going to go home, I'm going to spray myself some arnica in my mouth. Maybe my shoulder's a little sore, my back's a little bit sore because I had, a certain area I worked on that I might apply the cream. But again, that can help. And then that night, I'm going to make myself a yummy salad with lots of oil and protein and some turmeric and things that I know are anti-inflammatory, or have some pineapple for dessert that's bromelain anti-inflammatory, because you had that kind of day. That's what you do. You had a sad day and you need that warm, cozy, home-cooked, as we call it, Minnesota hot dish meal that's all carbs and hot and gooey. Then you have those too, and then you enjoy it. But, you don't live there all the time.
But here's the problem problem with classical medicine, which is what I practice. You have a prescription pad, somebody comes in, you got 15 minutes to talk to them.
You're right.
And what do? The doctor writes a prescription. Then, and it might be for a pain medication, you get addicted to it, and
now
then that addiction continues on to a higher addiction. And
not only that, they're not eliminating, their kidneys are stressed, so now they've got, now they're constipated, or they have this problem, and now we're going to give them this thing and that thing. You're right.
Isn't it time we re-examine what we are doing? Because that addiction brings you back for more. That addiction means that you have to pay for more. That addiction might mean going into a life of crime. That addiction could also mean that you could die.
Yes, and going back to the whole thing that we are on, I watched a whole thing the other day, read this whole thing about the spike in morphine addiction in the last years, and how exactly heroin, and how they go from the opiates to the heroin because of this. And it was so sad. And like I said, it's not this person, as they said, you think sitting on the street corner. It's not. These are people that are everyday people doing. And again, and it's sad. I remember 30 years ago when I was first married, my husband had a very good doctor friend who was in a car accident, and his buddies wrote him pain pills, prescriptions, and took care of him, and he became addicted, and he lost his license, and he lost his his quality of life and everything because of it. And it wasn't out of maliciousness, but again, people don't realize these things. These things
takes over your brain.
You bet. And the sad thing is you got something as simple as women today that go in, which again is not the system is dictating, and they have a cesarean done for no reason, and now they've got them on a pain pill, and now that pain pill feels really good, and I'm stressed in this, and I need more pain pills, and exactly. And it's crazy how, again, the doctor, and not to put it on doctors, because I don't think a doctor ever gets up.
They do.
Yes.
The lady doctor here in California was given a sentence of 30 years.
Yes.
And,
and that was all about money.
They came to me for pain, and they're saying, no, you gave too much. I still say the modalities are there through homeopathic, through chiropractic, through acupuncture,
herbology,
all of that, instead of, maybe we all should move to Colorado, because maybe, and we've talked about
we don't want that. We don't want
our seniors.
We don't want that pharmaceutical company to give up any of their power to a little plant I could make into a tea or a tincture, and my pain is gone, my depression is gone, my inflammation is gone, my cancerous tumor is gone. I could go on all day. What could be gone?
Oh, I know.
But again, that's where, as Americans, we need to wake up and take back our country, and we need to have hemp legalized as a major production that we can grow again in our country for the food, for the medicine. There's so many things in our world that have been taken or hijacked because this company owned a patent, or this company didn't want, or this one didn't want you to have hemp paper for their newspapers. When I just bought tens of thousands of acres of trees, I want you to use my trees for newspapers. So I laugh at that, and I say I've read the history. I've gone and looked those things up, and no thanks. I don't buy into your thing when you tell me, well, you're over 55, then you have to have this, this, and this. No, I don't. No, I don't.
How do our listeners get a hold of you?
You know what? You can contact me through educator@kingbio.com is my email, and my cell is 818-683-4876.
That's 818-683-4876. Kim Wall, thanks for being on the show again.
My pleasure, guys. My
Always
pleasure.
enlightening. We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology and SCV in-home care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.